This is the eHealth Radio Network, your source for health advice on demand. And now your host, Eric Michaels.
Thanks for joining us once again here on the eHealth Radio Network. This is your host, Eric Michaels. Today, visiting with us is globally recognized Dr. TJ Sai, founder and medical director of Ageless MD, Orange County, California's premier state-of-the-art aesthetic medicine destination, helping thousands of patients from all over the globe look and feel their best at every age. And Dr. Sai, thanks for joining us here today on the eHealth Radio.
Thank you for having me, Eric.
Well, you're certainly more than welcome and great to have you with us here today. Looking forward to learning a few things as well. So getting older is a gift, isn't it? But it's something most people do not want to wear on their face. And Dr. Sai, you're keeping America Ageless without having to go under the knife. And who wouldn't want to participate in that? Now, as a cosmetic doctor, clients come to you because with your services, they don't have to go under the knife. What would you say makes you unique? Get into that as we kick things off today.
So you're right about that, Eric. I am your non-surgical specialist. So by the time that you've contacted me or my office, you've already decided, hey, I'm not going to undergo the knife, and I want to look for something that's non-invasive or minimally invasive that doesn't require a huge amount of downtime. And then also what makes me unique is that I first of all, I'm a very visual person. And of course, I've studied all the stages of what happens to our bodies and our faces as we age, as we get further along in the years. And I know and understand what happens to the fat compartments, the ligaments, the loss of collagen. And so if you show me a picture of you, say 15, 20 years ago, I can reverse engineer that and basically go back and understand what has happened between then and now and come up with a very comprehensive treatment plan to address those changes and basically rewind that clock.
Well, I'd say that certainly makes you unique in this space, no doubt. Now, tell us also, what are some cutting-edge ways to age gracefully?
So, people have already heard of the typical the Botox, or they call it neurotoxins, and then dermal fillers, which are very pervasive and very common nowadays. But what are the more cutting-edge stuff that I'm doing is a couple of procedures. One that's called radio frequency microneedling. It sounds like a laser, but it's not a laser. It's actually involved using micro needles or tiny acupuncture-sized needles that deliver energy into our skin. And the analogy is this: it's you know how when you cook a hamburger, the patty starts at a larger piece. By the time you're done with it, it shrinks. So the needles are delivering energy and causing your skin to shrink wrap. So it gives some tightening and lifting effect. And then the second one that's very cutting edge is called PDO thread lift. And that's using absorbable sutures, which are similar to the stitches that you get, say, if you got a laceration, you had to get sewed up, or if you've had surgery in the past, they insert sutures to close the skin. Well, we insert these sutures non-invasively underneath the skin. They have little barbs of teeth and they lift the skin, and we anchor it underneath the skin, giving a pseudo facelift or lifting result. And that can take years off your face for the right clientele.
Certainly do appreciate those details, and that is most helpful. Now, taking that even further, what type of reaction do you get from your patients after they do receive one of these procedures?
For the PDO thread lift, the results are immediately. So what I typically do is I will perform the procedure on one side of the face, and then I do what's called a halftime show. There's no music or a band playing, but what I do is I sit them up after I've done one side of the face, and I give them the mirror, and they can see the side that I worked on. It's completely lifted, and the other side is still kind of drooping and falling. So it's almost looked like they had a stroke on their before side. And so they can see the results right away. And typically, sometimes they're very happy, and sometimes they even shed a tear. And these are definitely happy tears.
Well, we certainly appreciate you taking a moment to be with us here today. We're speaking with Dr. TJ Sai. He is the founder and medical director of Ageless MD, Orange County, California's premier state-of-the-art aesthetic medicine destination, helping thousands of patients from all over the globe look and feel their best at every age. And he's joined us here today on eHealth Radio's Aging Information and Health News channels, a part of the eHealth Radio Network. Now, continuing on, you're well known for the PDO thread lift, most recently featured on the Netflix series bling empire. Walk us through what that entails and who would be a good candidate for this non-surgical procedure.
So we went over briefly what the procedure does and how it can lift the face, but it can also lift several other things. For example, we use the threads to give a brow lift, so you can elevate the position of the brows. We can also use threads to augment the nose or raise the nose tip. As I understand, when we go through the aging process, and we get a little bit older, the tip of the nose does descend and it does fall. And so just lifting it just a couple of millimeters makes all the difference in the world. And also we can use the thread lift to lift different parts of the body, such as the neck. Some providers use it to lift the knees and the belly. But what would be a good candidate versus not a good candidate? Well, I've got a couple of different demographics. One is the millennial generation. They want to look, what's the hashtag is snatched. They want their jawline snatched tight. They want to look very defined and chiseled. And then I've got your usual folks that are, 30s to 50s that are seeing changes, but they're not ready, or they feel like they're too young to undergo the knife. And many times they are too young. So the thread lift would be a great kind of a medium in between during this transitional phase where they are seeing changes, but they can still do something non-surgically to lift their face without undergoing a very invasive procedure.
Now, Dr. Sai, if someone is looking for advice about their appearance or something that has been bothering them for years, what would be the best tip you could give them, and where could they find more information to know more about your services and also be in contact as well?
Sure. You know what? When people come to me, a lot of times they don't really understand what's happening. So, that part of my job is to kind of walk them through and educate them. But I would say for someone that's been bothered by something, try to identify and narrow it down what it is. They just come to me and say, Doc, I don't like what I'm seeing. I'm looking a little old, but what does that mean? So kind of narrow it down. Is it the skin? It's lacking luster. It's lacking brightness, or is it their acne scars that's giving them shadows, or their makeup is getting caught in the fine lines and wrinkles, or is it something else? So really sit down and narrow that down to identify what it is that's bothering them, and that way they can better communicate to me or whoever provider they're seeing, so that we can come up with a proper diagnosis and then come up with a comprehensive treatment plan to then address their needs. You can look at all my latest before and afters and most recent up-to-date information on our Instagram, and that's at ageless_MD.
Easy enough, and of course we'll leave that link within the show notes of this broadcast as well. Dr. Sai, all the best, and thanks for joining us here today on eHealth Radio.
Thanks for having me, Garrett. Have a good one.
And you're more than welcome anytime. We've been speaking with Dr. TJ Sai, the founder and medical director of Ageless MD, Orange County, California's premier state-of-the-art aesthetic medicine destination, helping thousands of patients from all over the globe look and feel their best at every age. And for all the details, visit ageless-md.com. And again, this has been your host, Eric Michaels, and we do thank you for your continued support of the eHealth Radio Network. Join us again soon for another episode that will help further expand your knowledge on those things that are important to your health and wellness. For more eHealth Radio reports, we invite you to visit our main radio channel site at eHealthRadioNetwork.com. And as always, we do thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in to the eHealth Radio Network. For more information or to subscribe to this podcast, visit eHealthRadioNetwork.com.